The new chair of the SAC, Paul Atkins, has been confirmed. Paul is pro-crypto, as you may already know if you've been watching the channel for a while. Even though it is already midnight in North America, yesterday was a very exciting day for the cryptocurrency markets. Naturally, there were certain individuals who were building up the bloodbath. However, you are aware that the tariffs are beneficial, and Donald Trump has publicly stated that he is working and wants to cooperate with China. So you should come, the cryptocurrency market has clearly benefited from any kind of conclusion. However, you are aware that we will discuss a wide range of topics. XRP holders, welcome back to the CryptoZX channel. As always, I'm grateful that you all have stayed and shown your boy so much love. Thank you very much for your support, and let's get started. So far, that trend is continuing if you look at everything heading into Thursday morning. There are still a lot of coins up when you look at the entire board. Over the past few hours, XRP, which is up 10.8%, has experienced a slight decline, but as of this update, it is still trading at $2. Additionally, it has increased 4.1% in comparison to Bitcoin. That's good to see. I apologize for it. The 24-hour trade volume was $8, 7 billion, and the evaluation was $116.6 billion. Before we continue, though, let me just quickly clarify that nothing on this channel is financial advice. Always conduct your own research and due diligence before making a cryptocurrency investment. Matt Hogan, CIO at Bitwise, anticipates that weekend dollar. In other words, if the dollar is depreciating, it will positively affect Bitcoin. In the long run, he anticipates a move away from a single reserve currency and toward a more fragmented system in which Bitcoin will play a larger role. He sticks to his prediction of $200,000 a year in Bitcoin. Matt Hogan predicts that the price of Bitcoin will hit $200,000 before the end of the year. Additionally, I'm aware that this may be a bit of a stretch. However, you've been in this area for a while. As you can see from the events of last year's fourth quarter, it literally takes cryptocurrency 1 to 2 months at most to have a euphoric run. Once more, only time will tell, but we'll see what transpires since, we did witness this event. This is a good step in the right direction, in my opinion. You are aware that tariffs are on hold. Indeed. Of course, it's not the end. There's no resolution of any kind. I'm hoping for a resolution of some kind soon. The markets may have a lull if you hear anything more that is clearly related to tariffs. That's still something I'm mentally ready for. However, assuming nothing changes, I anticipate that the market will somewhat level off during the following 3 months, barring any uncontrollable outside influences. It goes without saying that we must always be mindful of such things. As we move forward, this has become rather popular on Twitter for cryptocurrency. Guys, let me reiterate that this is not true and that it is not verified in any way. It states unequivocally that Trump requested that the Supreme Court remove Jerome Powell. Once more, this is by no means verified. Trump has been calling for rate reduction, of course, but Jerome Powell is not simply going to come along and do it. We must comprehend Jerome Powell's identity and the role he plays. When it comes to the Federal Reserve's choices, the president's statements don't actually function. They take into account numerous factors. Once more, when you see more and more individuals discussing this, you should always be skeptical of what you read online, and this is unquestionably not confirmed at this time. But now, gentlemen, take a look at this. The fact that you witnessed Paul Atkins' confirmation as the new chairman of the SEC, Now let's look at the XRPFs. Now keep in mind that before all of this, Paul Atkins was formally acknowledged as the chair. The SEC has been decreasing the number of cryptocurrency cases, which is clearly giving the sector more clarity. Furthermore, you're seeing a lot of filings from asset managers and other organizations that are submitting applications for ETFs, XRP, or other assets. Guess what? We've been observing that many of them are getting recognized. Will the next stage involve only full approvals, now that we have a pro-crypto individual who is also the chairman of the SAC, since that can be the crucial moment. To be honest, that might generate a lot of excitement. In addition, if there is a rate decrease, the upcoming months may be interesting. But once more, there cannot be any disruptions in the trade war. We can't do that because, in my opinion, it would have a detrimental effect on the market once more if you did see it. All is well, though, so far. One step at a time is what we have to do. We were able to observe what was directly in front of us. And this is how the road appears to you. I understand that it happened really quickly, but these trade disputes, tariff discussions, and so on are, out of anyone's hands. Indeed, that was to be expected, of course. But let's look at this now. Raoul Powell says, and I thought this chart to be really intriguing because, to be honest, I hadn't really looked at it. When he brought this up, it kind of made me think, well, it's kind of intriguing. That is to say, take a look at the worldwide M2 supply, or rather, the M2 money supply in Bitcoin. Additionally, the M2 money supply is obviously in black, whereas Bitcoin is in pink. And as you can see from this chart, which shows the black one rising, there's generally a favorable link with Bitcoin. This is something you can witness for yourself. Thus, the supply of M2 is clearly increasing. The question that now arises is whether Bitcoin will actually follow this pattern. Will we witness that occurring? Will that actually be the case? Does Bitcoin have a chance to move upward, that is, toward all-time highs? We'll see. So far, you're beginning to see, positive correlation in this particular chart over the previous 2 years, I would say. Therefore, you would anticipate that Bitcoin would begin to move back toward the upside as well if the linkage were to materialize. Once more, that is something that would be interesting to investigate. Naturally, historically, I've been very explicit about this. Levels could be turbulent. Stated that your trade negotiations clearly had that effect throughout the course of the following few months. We have been really pessimistic since February. However, historically speaking, it is projected that the fourth quarter and possibly the end of the third quarter would be optimistic. Of course, I believe that the game will alter if there is a significant change in the number of initial public offerings, EPOs, the approval of ETFs, and the entry of firms like BlackRock Fidelis. Once more, there are a lot of fascinating things to see, but let's examine the price situation. Guys, if you're at the Bitcoin domination, you know that it's still really high at 63.45%. Naturally, few hours ago, we witnessed the domination drop to 63.16%, but it has quickly recovered. Of course, if you're looking at Bitcoin, as I indicated in my update, it did move into the 38.2 zone not too long ago, but we did pull down a little bit. In the big picture, though, we are supported by the 81 to 82K range. That being said, if you're looking at XRP, it's currently $2. As a result, the price pattern is extremely similar to that of Bitcoin. I take it you can see this for yourself. At the neckline, even the Fibonacci retracement levels match. This is something you can all witness for yourself. 38.2 rejection retest. For XRP, you can also observe this for yourself. If you were to round it up, the 38.2 retest would be $2.90 or 2.8 cents.